Hi, I'm Desiree Hadley.
And I'm Andrea Mason with Newark People's Assembly.
And welcome to another episode of Hold the Line with Mayor Baraka. Mayor, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Good. Andrea, how you doing?
So far, so good.
So, on this episode of Hold the Line, of course, we're going to have our COVID-19 check-in. We're going to discuss the Newark Community Museum, the Newark Go program, and the Summer Youth Employment Program. So let's start with the COVID check-in. So as of Monday, Newark's 3-day rolling average test positivity rate was at 1.75%, right. And Newark's 7-day rolling average test positivity rate was at 2%. Right. So these numbers have slightly increased from the last episode. So where does Newark currently stand with the pandemic?
I think we're still in a good position. Obviously, we have to be still vigilant about what we're doing. I think the July 4th weekend made the numbers tick up a little bit. Every time we have a holiday and people hang out and party and all that, it adds to that, particularly in neighborhoods where people aren't vaccinated. 99% of the people who are dying from COVID are people who are unvaccinated. And folks have to understand that. Essex County, over 70% of the people in Essex County are fully vaccinated, 18 and over. And the other 30% is probably our community. Newark right now, about over 60% of us, 18 and over, have at least one vaccination.
Without going into too much detail about the Delta variant, I do want to touch on that because that is one of the newest developments of COVID.
Right.
It's highly contagious. So can you just make people aware of why it's still important to just wear your mask in certain environments because there is still this Delta variant that has recently.
Sure. I mean, I carry my mask with me. I mean, I don't wear it all the time, but I wear it when I'm nervous, you know. So the Delta variant is real. And the CDC said the carriers of the Delta variant are unvaccinated people, right? So people come around you who are not vaccinated and they can give you, because you still can get the Delta variant as a vaccinated person. It won't have the same kind of impact on you as it would somebody else, but you still can carry it, and that's a problem. We have to eliminate this thing. We've been doing so good, becoming so close now, because the virus mutates and is mutated, and now we have to fight against that, so we don't have any more upticks, particularly with school opening up in September for our children.
Okay. All right, so let's move on to the Newark Community Museum. So on Monday, Newark held the groundbreaking ceremony for the upcoming Community Museum, which will replace the first precinct. You made this announcement last year during the height of the country's social unrest when there were protests going on. You did announce it around that time, I want to say. The precinct will be transformed into a museum, which will display some of Newark history, such as the '67 riots. So why did you think this museum needed to be created in our community?
Well, I think to preserve our history and allow people the ability to understand where Newark has been, where it's gone, how the community and neighborhoods got like this. I think it's important, and I think it's relevant to helping people deal with trauma and issues that they've gone through in their life. And I think the museum, the People's Museum, kind of community museum, is going to be different. Right, and it's still it's also an office for the Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma Recovery. So there's going to be a lot happening there on that corner, and I think it's just appropriate that it happens there where the rebellion began.
So I heard only one comment from a resident about who and why the individuals were selected to be interviewed for during the conference, the press conference, during the video. So there's so much history in our city. What should individuals, particularly seniors, do if they want to share info or artifacts to be included in the exhibit, or if they want to just document oral history?
That needs to happen. So if anybody has any information firsthand, was there, want to share, they should do that. I would contact Junius Williams, the city historian, who's doing that. They can also go to the website that he has as well, Abbott Leadership Institute, and find out more information as well. Or just contact us at City Hall, contact my office, and we'll put them directly in touch with Junius. because I know he wants still getting oral stories and oral history to put in that museum. I mean, there's a lot of people who never been heard from,
Right.
and it's given an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I know my grandfather was, within that,
Yeah.
in that time he was around. He was a police officer back then, so yeah.
Oh, he'd have a great story.
He would, and he was one of those, had the afro and the dashikis, all of that. So he was one of those. So one of the things I also want to talk about as it relates to the museum. So I always believe Newark is a city that marches to the beat of their own drum, is a trend-setting city. So let me explain this. So we were one of few cities that revealed the George Floyd monument. We, back in 2020, we were one of few cities that not a single officer fired a shot. During the height of the protests in 2020, we were one of the few cities that had exhibited the peaceful protests in our city. And your administration also views violence as a public health issue, which is catching on, but one of the few cities to do so. So I believe this community museum would be another instance where Newark is stepping out of the box and starting to be innovative in the way they approach certain issues. So it will be the place where the Office of Violence Prevention will be housed. So why did you think putting that office inside of that museum was appropriate?
Well, I think it's so much trauma, in our community, period. And if we're saying violence is public health or public safety is the role of all of us and not just the police, I think, again, it's poetic, it's appropriate to put it in that office because that is where unrest began, the rebellion began. And there's so many issues that are involved in that, not just relationships with the police, but, unemployment, poverty, household trauma, things that go on in your life growing up in this community. I think it's a time for us to begin to take our role and responsibility with this and get the resources that's necessary to put in there. And put it in the precinct says clearly that, we have a role to play in public safety, right? It's just not the job of the police.
So do you expect Newark to set the tone for other cities to follow when it comes to our approach to not always sending officers to hostile situations and looking at it in a different way?
Absolutely. President Biden just had a roundtable discussion with himself and high-level leaders to talk about the uptick of violence in the country and how to respond to it. Because obviously a crime bill is not going to do it. All of the problems that it caused before. And two of the people they called down there was one of our top officials in the police department went down there, and Akila Sherrills from Newark Community Street Team. They sat at the table and discussed some of the partnerships and things that we're doing in Newark at the President's Roundtable. So that is catching on, and people are noticing that. And prayerfully we get resources and opportunities to expand it in the way it needs to be expanded.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, so yesterday Newark launched Newark Go, which is a shared bike and electric scooter program. The city will have up to 2,000 bikes and scooters spread throughout each ward where people can use them and as transportation option within the city. So what do you say to folks who feel like this is a big indicator of gentrification and they're afraid of being priced out of their neighborhoods now because,
Yeah. See, when they normally do that, it's just downtown. Ours is going to be all throughout the city.
Right.
So it's going to be in every ward, and it's a pilot for 6 months. And it's opportunities for people to get discounts, right? That are right on it. People who live in public housing, people that are on public assistance, get a deep discount, $5 a month, for unlimited 30-minute rides. You get a discount, based if you apply for it based on your need, and all of those things. I don't think it's happening like that in other places that are doing this bike and scooter share program. We're doing it because we're trying to give people access to alternative transportation.
Right.
50% of the people in the city don't own a car, right? So they got to ride the public transportation. And during COVID, it smacked us hard because most people had to get on the bus, and the buses were crazy and crowded. People complained throughout the entire pandemic about the buses at New Jersey Transit. So we want to give young people, college students, other folks opportunity. Other people who just want to take it to the supermarket or get on the bike or the scooter and go somewhere. Plus, it helps the environment. It's so many benefits to it It's kind of something that we needed to do a long time ago. We just needed to get it right. We've been studying it for at least a year and a half, trying to figure out how to do it right, and I think we hit that spot.
Yeah, and I also was thinking, like, for college students, if they say they don't have parking on campus, this is
Right.
another option as opposed to paying the parking meter if they can't find a parking space, you know? So this is an
Absolutely.
option. Yeah, it's cost effective.
So I'm really excited about the program. Newark People's Assembly definitely hosted a bunch of meetings. We're still hosting bike safety skills classes. And I just hope that my neighbors and the other residents within the community really take advantage of the program. I'm more excited, and you sort of alluded to it, that they're doing a special pricing for
Right.
low-income families. So because it's going into the neighborhood specifically where the need is, and we're encouraging all people to participate,
Right.
do you support a once-a-week bike to work day? And would
Oh,
there
that's
be an
great.
incentive
Sure. I think we
with
should do
that?
that. I think that we should, I mean, we're going to have to expand these, and Phil Scott talked about it direct at the press conference, just expanding the bike lanes and all the other kind of things throughout the community. Before that was done, but the people didn't respond to it the way they should have responded to it. It was a negative response to it.
Right.
Because we hadn't really created a bike culture. You know, we put the cart before the horse.
Right.
We have to create that riding culture, the bike culture. We have the bike program, and now people get on it. Now they're going to want an opportunity to ride. You know, and I think you do that first, and then you expand and give people the opportunity.
Right.
And I'll just add that we do have, the bike culture is actually, we're creating it.
That's right.
There's a couple of bike riding groups within the city, and we actually have a family community ride this Friday.
That's
From
great.
5 to 8 is a resource kind of fair, and then at 8 o'clock, we're encouraging families to come out and participate in this bike ride leaving from the soundstage on Clinton Avenue.
Awesome. I might have to get involved in that one.
Yes, please.
Yeah. I know bikes were sold out heavy during the pandemic, though. People
Indeed.
were, yeah. So let's move on to the Summer Youth Employment launch. So last Wednesday, the City of Newark launched the Summer Youth Employment Program, which the city employed 3,000 young people between the ages of 14 and 25. Why are programs such as these important for our young people here as we come back together this summer?
This is important, like, even without, after the pandemic, it's been important. It is the first job people have. It's opportunity to build relationships, to go to work, to build the kind of discipline that you need to work. All of that is important for our young people. Plus, it puts a little bit of cash in their hands and helps their household out. And so all of that is important. During the pandemic, you know, this becomes more important after this is over, trying to close it out, trying to get more people involved and get young people back to the idea of helping us move the economy forward and
Right.
being together. There's a myriad of reasons. I mean, just the psychological issues that people have been going through to get them back to working again. But we also are hiring more kids outside of the 3,000 who are kids that we call opportunity youth, that are troubled, that have had issues with the law, with courts, you know, who are not in school. You know, we've created special programs for them, and I went to 2 of those yesterday just to monitor them, and it's an awesome opportunity for young people who would not normally be involved in this.
Okay. So Mayor, we have about 10 seconds left. Is there any final remarks you want to give as we're nearing the end of the pandemic? We're not there yet, and we're in the middle of the summer. Anything you want to leave the people with?
Tell people to hold the line, keep
Right.
doing what you're doing, you know, stay safe, get vaccinated. Clearly, get your whole family vaccinated.
Okay. All right, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for watching.